Welcome to the archives. This edition of Gambling History and True Stories is brought to you by Our Casino Kombat podcast. Copyright 2025 Volcanic Dingo, LLC. All rights reserved.
You know, everyone has that dream of breaking the bank at a casino, right? We think about some insane lucky streak, a gut feeling, pure magic. But what if I told you the biggest win in casino history had absolutely nothing to do with luck? Let's get into the story of a man who didn't just play the game, he played the machine itself. So picture this. It's 1873. We're in Monte Carlo. And the big question is, how did one single engineer manage to systematically drain one of the world's most famous casinos day after day? Not by luck, but by design. And the answer? Well, it's not some unbelievable story of good fortune. It's about a brilliant audit. It's about looking at a roulette wheel and seeing it for what it really is, a piece of hardware. To really get how he pulled this off, we have to get inside his head. We have to understand how he thought, because this entire incredible story started not with a bet, but with a powerful idea that came straight from his day job. So, meet our guy, Joseph Jagger. He wasn't some high roller or a professional gambler. Nope. He was a mechanical engineer from Yorkshire, England, a guy who spent his days in cotton mills, surrounded by machinery. He knew how things worked. And here is his big aha moment. Jagger knew from his work that no machine stays perfect. Over time, with constant use, things wear down. They get unbalanced. Tiny, almost invisible flaws start to appear. And then it hit him. A roulette wheel? Well, that's just another machine. This really shows you the two totally different ways of looking at the world, right? You've got the gambler who sees a game of chance and just hopes for a lucky break. But Jagger, he was an operator. He saw a piece of hardware. He wasn't hoping. He was hunting for a defect. He didn't believe in magic. He believed in data. So, armed with this powerful idea, Jagger leaves the factories of England and heads to the most glamorous casino on Earth. He was ready to put his theory to the ultimate test. And the stage for this is none other than the legendary Beaux-Arts casino in Monte Carlo. I mean, this was the absolute peak of high-stakes gaming, a place where the house was supposed to be completely unbeatable. But Jagger didn't just walk in and start throwing money down. He did something way smarter. He ran an audit. He actually hired 6 clerks, gave each one a notebook, and assigned them to one of the 6 roulette wheels in the casino. Their only job, for 12 hours a day, just write down every single number that won. That's it. This was pure, raw data collection. And after he got back all that data, this huge mountain of numbers, he found it, just like he predicted. 5 of the wheels were totally random. The numbers were all over the place, exactly as you'd expect. But one wheel was different. It was an anomaly. It was broken. It had a huge statistical bias, where 9 specific numbers were hitting way, way more often than they should have. His hypothesis was dead on. I mean, just look at this. On a perfect wheel, the chances would be pretty flat across the board. That's the expected frequency. But on the wheel Jagger found, the actual frequency for his 9 target numbers was through the roof. The data was screaming that something was wrong. The house edge wasn't just gone, it was completely flipped in his favor. All right, so the audit is done, the target has been identified, the observation phase was over. Now it was time to execute the attack. So on July 7th, 1873, Jagger walks in. He doesn't play random numbers. He attacks, betting over and over again on that little group of 9 numbers. And the results? They were just devastating for the casino. Day after day, he just cleaned them out, winning so much they literally had to bring bags of cash to his table to pay him. The casino managers, as you can imagine, were in a full-blown panic. They knew something was seriously wrong, but they were still stuck in that gambler's mindset. They couldn't imagine a system was beating them. To them, this just had to be the luckiest guy in the history of the world. So they come up with their first counter move. Thinking maybe it was just a lucky table or a lucky spot in the room, they decided to secretly move all the roulette wheels around overnight. They hoped it would break his streak. But Jagger wasn't betting on a lucky spot on the floor. He was betting on a specific piece of machinery. So the next day he comes in, starts losing, but he doesn't panic. He just gets up and starts looking closely at the wheels. He remembered a tiny, unique scratch on his wheel, and sure enough, he found it, sitting in a new spot across the room. He sat down, and boom, started winning all over again. And that's when the light bulb finally went off for the casino. They realized the flaw wasn't magic, it was mechanical. That night, their engineers took action. They dismantled the wheels and moved the little metal dividers, the frets, around on every single one. That simple fix was enough to rebalance the wheel, make it random again, and destroy Jagger's advantage for good. So the game was up. The inefficiency he'd found was gone. And what Joseph Jagger did next is what really separates an operator from a regular gambler. All told, he walked away with about 65,000 British pounds. Now, that might not sound like a ton, but let's put it in today's money. We're talking about the equivalent of around $7 million, an absolutely life-changing amount of cash. And this quote just nails it. It sums up his entire philosophy. He treated this like a financial trade. He found an inefficiency in the market, he exploited it for profit, and as soon as that inefficiency was gone, he closed his position. This is the key difference, right? A gambler who believes in luck would have kept playing. They would have chased that feeling, convinced their lucky streak would come back, and they'd have given all that money back to the house. But Jagger, the operator, knew his edge was gone, so he just stopped. He cashed out his winnings, went back home to England, bought some property, and never gambled again. Now, you probably can't use this exact same trick today. Modern wheels are way too precise. But the mindset? Jagger's mindset is absolutely timeless, and it leaves us with a really powerful lesson. We call it the Jagger principle, and it's simple. In any system, whether it's a roulette wheel, your career, your finances, whatever, don't just trust in some invisible magic to make it work. Audit the machine. Understand how its parts really work. Look for the flaws, and always, always rely on data, not just hope. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What are the machines in your own life that you're just sort of hoping will work out? And what do you think you might find if you actually took the time to audit them? And that wraps up this deep dive. This content was provided compliments of our Casino Kombat podcast. Copyright 2025 Volcanic Dingo LLC, all rights reserved. And a final reminder, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Win more, keep more, and we'll see you in the lounge.